莅临投资欧盟论坛移动载具与自动化产业分论坛。活动即将开始，请尽速就座，并将手机关机或调为震动，并请配合全程佩戴口罩。谢谢。Dear distinguished guests, welcome to the EU Investment Forum 2020 Mobility Automotive Session. The forum will begin shortly. Please be seated and turn off your cell phone or switch it to silent. Also, kindly wear a mask and keep social distance. Thank you for the cooperation. 各位贵宾，再次欢迎莅临投资欧盟论坛移动载具与自动化产业分论坛。由于疫情的影响，本场次活动采用线上及现场同步方式进行。在这个场次，我们邀请来到欧盟6个国家与台湾的代表，一同探讨移动载具与自动化产业的发展与策略前景。Distinguished guests, welcome to the EU Investment Forum 2020 Mobility Automotive Session. Due to the impact of COVID-19, this event will be conducted on-site and online at the same time. In this session, we have invited 6 representatives from the EU as well as speakers from Taiwan to talk about the prospects and the development strategies for the mobility and automotive. 首先，让我们邀请这个场次的主持人，工业技术研究院机械与机电系统研究所胡竹生所长。请大家欢迎胡竹生所长。First of all, please welcome our moderator, Dr. Zhu Shenhu, Vice President and General Director of Department of Mechanical and Mechatronic Systems Research Laboratories of E-Tree. Thank you. 相信对台湾企业而言，若要成功进军欧盟的移动载具与自动化市场，一定要充分了解各欧盟会员国的相关发展策略，才能觅得商机，并建构后疫情的新供应链策略。接下来，我们将邀请来自欧盟会员国的代表，一一为我们介绍该国移动载具与自动化产业发展的策略。If Taiwanese companies would like to enter the mobility automotive industry in the EU, it is vital for them to understand the respective development strategies for the EU member states, so that they are able to find the new business opportunities and build a new supply chain after the epidemic. Next, we are going to invite the speakers from the EU to talk about the mobility and automotive development strategies for their respective countries. 首先，我们邀请到来自捷克 Business and Investment Development Agency Czech Invest 的讲者 Mrs. Karolina Konikarova， 她要分享的主题是捷克移动载具与自动化的未来与创新。Our first speaker is Mrs. Karolina Konikarova, Business Development Manager for Automotive and Future Mobility of Business and Investment Development Agency from Czech Republic. Her topic is Future and Innovation in Mobility and Automotive in Czech. Please welcome Mrs. Konikarova.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karolina Konikarova, and I'm representing Czech Business and Investment Development Agency Czech Invest. In my presentation, I would like to shortly introduce you to the automotive industry in the Czech Republic and then focus on 2 main trends that we see in the mobility sector: clean mobility and autonomous driving. First of all, I would like to present you some basic figures of the Czech automotive. Creating over 9% of the GDP and 26% of the manufacturing output, it is the largest industry of the Czech economy. It employs directly more than 180,000 people and brings revenues over 40 billion euros while investing 500 million euros back into research and development. Although it is not only about the companies, Czech universities offer various study programs connected to automotive and mobility and research in these fields. 7 main universities have over 25,000 students focused on study programs relevant to automotive and mobility sector. I would like to also mention that the Czech Republic is a leading producer of buses per capita and second in production of vehicles per capita, after our colleagues from Slovakia. Before moving more towards the mobility topics and national strategies, I would like to briefly introduce you to the Czech-Taiwanese Investment Cooperation. On this slide, you can see the main Taiwanese investors in the Czech Republic according to capex and jobs created. It does not come as much of a surprise that most of the investments are in the electronics and ICT sector. Now moving on to the main topic of the presentation, the future and innovation in mobility. Firstly, I would like to introduce you to the national plans and strategies regarding the development of the new technologies and trends in the mobility sector. In 2017, the Czech government and the Czech Automotive Industry Association, that accounts for circa 95% of the industry, signed memorandum about the future of automotive industry in the Czech Republic, followed by the action plan. The main goals of the action plan you can see at this slide right here. It is divided according to 3 different crucial topics: e-mobility, autonomous driving, and digitalization. The main priorities for the e-mobility are probably not surprising. Encouragement of purchases of electric vehicles combined with advantages for the owners of such vehicles, such as access to the city centers, and development of infrastructure. Regarding the autonomous driving, besides focus on the legal and ethical aspects, the Czech government also focused on the development of environment for testing in closed areas as well as in real-time traffic, with projects involving municipalities, private companies, as well as research institutions. In the area of digitalization, in relation to the mobility sector, the most emphasis is put on development of strong internet infrastructure and also on having open data. The clean mobility is seen as one of the biggest priorities given the need for lowering CO2 emissions and helping the environment as much as possible. This is why the government adopted a national action plan for clean mobility in 2016 and updated it just last year. The main points revolve around the previously mentioned priorities: the need for expansion of the charging infrastructure, the support of advantages of owning a car with alternative drive, but also support in the research and development infrastructure, as well as new emerging study programs that follow the changes in the mobility sector around the world. What is also worth mentioning is that with the update in 2019, more focus was put on the hydrogen mobility and its usage in public transport and buses in general. In the next 2 slides, I will shortly present you also a timeline of the planned changes and the current state that the Czech Republic finds itself. As you can see here, this is the implementation timeline, and as 2020 is not a year anyone could expect, the predictions differ from the reality. Nonetheless, for 2020, the plan counted with 6,000 electric vehicles in operation, 11,000 plug-in hybrids in operation, and around 1,300 charging points. In 5 years from now, the Czech Republic should have 35,000 electric vehicles in operation, and annual sales of such vehicles should be around 25,000 a year. We can also see that in 2025, there are expected hydrogen buses in operation. By 2030, alternative drives should become basically one of the standard choices when deciding about your car, and there will be less need for various subsidies. Now, I would like to quickly show you the current situation. As you can see from the chart, the most popular in the Czech Republic are the plug-in hybrids. New registrations have almost doubled from 2018 to 2019. The growth is obvious also in the registration of the battery electric vehicles, and it is expected to grow much faster in the upcoming years. In 2019, there were around 3,000 battery electric vehicles in operation. For 2020, there are no definite numbers yet, but it is expected to double this year. As for the charging infrastructure, there is slower growth in numbers compared to the action plan. In 2019, there were 450 charging stations, and 200 more are expected and planned to be built this year, which is exactly half the number than in the action plan prediction. To make the picture complete, I would like to talk a little about the private sector. We have companies and startups developing their own technologies for batteries, energy storage systems, and battery management systems, such as EVC Group, Pinflow, or He3Da. Efficient charging stations like Voldrive, and then there are big companies producing electric buses, such as SOR, that is producing electric buses since 2009, or Škoda Electric. We can also find companies focused on fuel cells electric drive, such as Linked, specializing in fuel cell testing equipment. The list of companies on this slide is of course not exhaustive, but it could give you an idea of what is happening in the Czech Republic. As I have mentioned in the beginning, another priority of the Czech Republic is autonomous driving and its smooth integration into the everyday life. Currently, there is the autonomous driving plan being adopted. Its main focus is on creating an environment that attracts research and development, as well as enhances the education in the area, be it the driving schools or general public enlightenment. Great focus is put on safety, accessibility, and effectiveness. One of the main priorities is to have enough testing grounds, not only in closed areas, but also being able to test in real-time traffic. With that comes also the need for development of infrastructure and data communication network, and overall cooperative intelligent transport system communicating with the infrastructure. As an example of such activities, we can mention the Sea Roads project supported by the EU that is testing the cooperative intelligence transport system in real time on the roads and rails. Since the beginning of 2020, there has also been established an ethics committee that should be doing assessments of issues related to the autonomous driving. The committee should also give solutions for problematic or crisis situations. Findings and decisions of the committee and other institutions will then be put together into changes in legislative framework with strong focus on safety of passengers and their data. We have also various companies focused on autonomous driving. As you can see on this slide, there are once again international companies such as Valeo or BMW that have or are building their own testing grounds for autonomous cars in the Czech Republic, and smaller companies whose technologies are used by OEMs and engineering companies. Example of that can be Artin that works with data processing or sensor fusion and also developed their own autonomous car, or IDEA that developed solutions for object detection and object recognition systems using machine learning and AI. Powered by artificial intelligence, there are also solutions for traffic video analytics or mobility optimization, here represented by Good Vision and UMotion. As I have mentioned before, there is also a strong focus on developing further the intelligent transport systems and smart cities, and companies such as Croslean or Intens are helping with that. Once again, this is not an exhaustive list, but I can give you an idea. Once the presentation will be shared, you can look through the companies shown here by simply clicking on their logos. In the last few slides, I would like to focus also on innovation strategy of the Czech Republic called the Country for the Future. It is a national strategy written in cooperation with experts from various sectors. It was adopted by the Czech government in February 2019, and the priorities are set for the next decade. The main goal is for the Czech Republic to become much more innovative, competitive in Europe by 2030. The strategy itself stands on 9 main pillars with set objectives and instruments. You can see the pillars all named on the right side of this slide. Focus is put on innovation and research centers and financing of research and development in general, digitalization of state, manufacturing and services, development of startup and spin-offs, environment and protection of intellectual property, polytechnical education, or smart and high value-added investments. To fulfill the objectives of the strategy, the government also set up financial programs supporting this. Under one of these financial programs, the Czech Invest Agency is creating a unique project called the Technology Incubation. The Technology Incubation is a project created to support startups in various sectors that are crucial for the Czech Republic or have potential to be successful. As the name of the project suggests, main activities will be incubation of startups, spin-offs, and ideas in general. It is divided into 7 thematic hubs and business incubation centers. Mobility Innovation Hub that is focused on the trends and developments in the mobility sector, CERN Business Incubation Center that focuses on more developed startups able to use CERN technologies, AI Hub that will help in the field of artificial intelligence, Creative Business Incubation Center that will be supporting the creative industries in the Czech Republic and its promotion abroad, Ecotech Hub that covers all topics and technologies around ecology, sustainability, recycling, etc., Space Hub that works with space technologies and brings them into everyday life, and Crisis Response Hub that emerged as a reaction to current pandemic but is not limited and should incubate technologies in various areas. As I have mentioned, one of the key activities under the technology incubation is the Mobility Innovation Hub. The main goal of the hub is systematic development of the cross-sectoral field of mobility with focus on alternative drives, autonomous driving, smart logistics, digitalization, and smart factories. The hub stands on 3 main activities. The first, incubation of startups, being the foundation. To support startups and spin-off with business potential, the hub will provide startups with financial incentives as well as technology and business mentoring. The key for success of the hub lies in close cooperation with companies and the whole private sector, regional institutions, and academia. That is why the second main activity is called partnership. The hub will bring together big players in automotive industry as well as small and medium companies that are bringing new technologies or ideas and can benefit of great network of cross-sectoral companies. While having all these experts from public and private sector together, the hub should become also a unique source of information and analysis and be able to give feedback and expertise back towards the policymakers regarding the new trends and topics in the field of mobility. The hub is not limited only to the Czech Republic. It welcomes startups, companies, and cooperation from around the world. And last piece of information, the Mobility Innovation Hub should be launching this autumn. This is all from my side. I would like to thank you for your attention, and if you wish to contact me, here are my contact details. I am looking forward to any kind of cooperation. Thank you.
我们谢谢我们邀请来自到捷克讲者精彩的分享。Thank you very much, Mrs. Karnikarova. 接下来，我们将邀请到来自芬兰 Business Finland 的 Mikko Koskwe，他要分享的主题是芬兰的智能汽车和移动解决方案。Our next speaker is Mr. Mikko Koskwe, Senior Advisor Automotive of Business Finland from Finland. He will talk about intelligent vehicle and mobility solutions from Finland. Please welcome Mr. Koskwe.
Hello, my name is Mikko Koskwe and I come from Business Finland, which is a Finnish trade and innovation organization. My role is to help and promote Finnish automotive and mobility companies. And a few words about my background. I've been working my whole working career in this sector, first 10 years in Germany for Daimler or Mercedes, and then as an automotive consultant now since few years heading our automotive activities within Business Finland. First, I would like to tell you a few words about Finland. It might be a bit strange country or not well-known country for some of the listeners. So first of all, Finland is a great innovation environment with a very agile startup ecosystem. And last but not least, from this slide, Finland was awarded 3 times as the happiest country in the world, and we are, of course, very happy about that. Finland is seen as one of the digitalization forerunners. We already today use many of the technologies from the future, like AI or others. But today we will concentrate on mobility. As you know, the mobility sector is facing the biggest change since the Second World War, both in automotive industry, but also in all other mobility-related businesses. The way how people want to move is changing. As the cars are getting digitalized, connected, shared, and also more and more automated, Finland has lots of innovative companies in all of these sectors. This slide is from Daimler, and this is showing these sectors or trends which are driving the automotive disruption. My message is that even if Finland is not well known as an automotive or traditional automotive country, because we never had, for example, an own OEM, we still have a lot of innovative companies in all of these sectors. Some of these roughly 100 innovative companies are mentioned here, divided in subsectors, and our role at Business Finland is to help and promote this ecosystem. Then one question which is nowadays very often asked is, what about the corona crisis? What about the COVID time? How has it been impacting the mobility sector in Europe or for Finland? First of all, the automotive industry is having and will have a hard time. That is a quite general opinion. But still, it is seen that the trends mentioned in the slide earlier, they will remain. And digitalization as a whole will even get bigger push forward. That means as all the crises, they also bring some opportunities. It is seen that there is a big possibility to bring different kind of digital services and technologies forward. In corona crisis, that happened in the education sector as well, and to some extent, for example, in public transport. More and more mobile payments are being used. Our role is to help these Finnish companies, but also we help foreign companies to establish operations in Finland. Finland is a great place for testing and R&D activities as well. Just to take one example, we worked many years very closely with Japanese tier 1 supplier Denso, who was searching a new location for innovation center. And we are very proud that they decided to set this innovation center in Finland up. Then a few words about mobility as a service, MaaS. As said, the way how people move is changing. A good example are these e-scooters. 2 years ago, we did not have any of them on the streets of Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland. Last summer, suddenly there were 5 different operators and thousands of e-scooters, literally everywhere. Not just in Helsinki, but many other European cities as well. E-scooter is a nice way to solve the last mile problem. And for us, a nice example to show how fast things are changing. Finland is seen as a kind of a home country of mobility as a service. We had the first MaaS operator worldwide a few years back, MaaS Global. It is very well known also in Asia, not just because of its investors like Toyota, Denso, and Mitsubishi. I will very shortly introduce you WIM, which is the product or service name of MaaS Global. As you can see in this question, WIM wants to give people possibility to get rid of their own car, above all in the cities. You might know that cars are being used only 4% of the time in Europe. I guess in Asia it's quite similar. That means 96% of the time the car is staying somewhere in a parking slot or garage without anybody using it. More and more digital services are popping up in mobility sector. E-scooters were one example. Car sharing is another one. In Germany, there are more than 100 car sharing companies. One former colleague from Germany just told me that he is using 15 different mobility apps on daily or weekly basis. Different kind of public transport, bus, metro, whatever, car renting, car sharing, city bike, e-scooters, and so on and so forth. 15 apps. Every app have their own functionality, have their own payment method, and so on. People's mobile phones are getting full of these apps. The idea of WIM is to combine all of these services in one app. And not just to combine the services, but also the payment. Basis is a monthly description, so you pay once a month, and then you are ready to travel and use the services which are included in your package or in your deal. It's a bit like a Netflix. The best package unlimited includes all forms of transportation, including taxi. These are just examples of these packages in one selected country. Well, just to show that this kind of MaaS ecosystem, it's a big open ecosystem, not a closed one. And to finalize and introduce you very shortly another mobility as a service company from Finland called Kyyti, which means ride in Finnish. Kyyti is more like a platform or technology provider, and they also work on white label basis. That means if, for example, one Asian train operator would like to create their own MaaS service and name it accordingly to their company name, Kyyti can help providing the technology. And one thing which is often asked from me in Asia is how about the rural areas and how about the elderly people? Kyyti is providing also rural MaaS services. where in rural areas there are different challenges. First of all, public transport hardly exists. Secondly, many cities and municipalities are paying different special transports separately, whether we are talking about school transport, elderly care, daycare, postal service, and so on. Kyyti has helped many municipalities to combine these services so that city can save lots of money and provide better services. So less money and better service, a great result. Here, an example how they have been combining these different services. This was a short introduction to Kyyti, and actually this was also already last slide of my presentation. So thank you very much again for the organizer for having me here, and thank you for the audience for your attention. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you once again, Mr. Koskwe, for the wonderful presentation. 我们再一次谢谢 Mr. Koskwe 所带来精彩的演讲。接下来，下一位我们将邀请来自德国的代表，同时也是 Bosch 台湾总经理 Jan Hollmann， 他要分享的主题是移动载具的未来。Next, please welcome Mr. Jan Hollmann, Managing Director of Robert Bosch Taiwan from Germany. He will talk about the future of mobility. Please welcome Mr. Hollmann.
Yes. So thank you very much for this very nice introduction. I'm probably the first live act today, kind of an exotic bird, but I will try to give my best basically to entertain you, and promised my slides will have less words than the previous speaker, so I give my best. Let's see. So talking about the future of mobility, but before we jump directly to the topic, let me quickly introduce Bosch. Can you click, please? The Bosch Group globally, probably some of you know, probably not everyone. We generated sales of almost 78 billion euro in 2019. And as you can see here on the lower right-hand side, 60% of our sales is actually occupied by our biggest business sectors called mobility solutions. Worldwide, we employ 400,000 employees and actually have always been a very innovative company that applies for all our business sectors. And this is something which you can actually see here in the upper part of the slide. 8% of our sales revenue are and will be reinvested in R&D activities, and that kind of safeguards our innovations, and that's why we, for example, apply for more than 3,000 patents a year, every year. Next slide, please. So, however, talking about the future of mobility, and I think there's no doubt that we are living in a time of fundamental changes. Globalization, urbanization, climate change, all that basically triggers a lot of innovations in all kinds of aspects, talking about people, society, and environment. And to give you a kind of glance of what we think how the future will look like, is going to be shown now on a quick video, which will take about a minute.
Our world is changing, and this change is visible across the globe. More than 50% of our population now lives in cities. These cities are growing, as is the share of older people in them, while space to live is becoming ever more precious. More and more goods and people need to be transported, pushing the traffic infrastructure to its limits and increasing pollution and noise levels. But the world is waking up. Regulations are calling for stricter limits and cleaner solutions. A transformation has started, powered by new technologies and services. In a world where everything is connected, mobility is being reimagined. Solutions like traffic management, combined with cleaner and more efficient powertrains and the benefits brought by automated driving, will make our cities sustainable and livable. Bosch is driving this change and shaping the future of mobility.
Yes, that's at least how it could like. So we strongly believe that the future of mobility will be personalized, will be electrified, will be automated, will be shared, will be connected. It's a very similar vision as what the previous speaker from Finland basically said. He introduced from Daimler the case study or the case approach. This is pretty much the same. The only differentiating point what we have, we add personalized, as we strongly believe that the future of mobility will also way more personalized as it is today. We will deep dive a little bit more in the electrified topic today. For the rest, we will probably not have enough time. But what kind of role plays actually Germany when it comes to automotive? I think we are pretty much well known as, so to say, the nucleus of the automotive industry. And that's why 24% of our total domestic industry revenue in Germany is actually generated by the automotive industry. That's a huge share and probably a predominant or dominant, let's say, role which the automotive sector plays. A third of the global automotive R&D volume is spent by German OEMs, and more than 60% of the R&D growth is contributed basically from ASEAN and Germany. In 1 out of 5 cars from the global automobile production is made by German OEMs. That kind of gives you an impression what kind of role Germany plays in the global mobility sector. Next slide, please. However, although we currently face different issues such as the pandemic, there is no doubt that we must not lose sight of the future of our planet. And this is also why the European Green Deal has been closed. We want to become climate neutral by 2050. I'm trying to show you a couple of initiatives how we will be able to achieve that. So next slide. Electromobility will certainly play a key role in order to achieve that, and it bears the huge opportunity that these climate targets can be connected with a technological leadership in this sector, and this is what we are aiming for. Next slide. So what is crucial? Crucial is attractive incentives, for sure, from governmental side, and enabling infrastructure, and both goes hand in hand, and without that, electromobility will never become a reality. It will always be a kind of starting initiative, but it will never really be scaled. And how this can be scaled, I'm going to introduce you on the next slide. That's at least what we are doing basically in Germany. The aim is to provide more than or about 1 million of charging points by 2030. Nowadays we are around 28,000 and public charging points and 4,200 fast charging points. On track, so to say, towards this very, let's say, challenging target, but also way to go. In terms of car park, we are shooting for 10 million cars in the car park by 2030. Also here you see the actual figures, 230,000 as of today. Main drivers for both dimensions are for sure subsidies, but also, and this is I think pretty unique, OEM, or let's say joint ventures between the industries, amongst the different industry players in order to get more momentum in all these activities. Next slide. Well, in 2030, still 2 of 3 cars, newly registered cars, will still be based on a combustion engine. This is at least how we see the future. However, there's no doubt that the future of mobility will be fully electrified. The reason why I'm saying is there will be a quite long, let's say, transition period. And in this transition period, different technologies will play a role. And we, as Bosch, strongly believe in a kind of powertrain mix, basically starting from the traditional combustion engine, which have to be more efficient, via hybrid as a bridging technology up to electromobility. And we are electrifying the powertrains, starting from e-pedelecs basically to e-scooters, four-wheelers. We talk about electrifying the hybrid technologies as a bridging technologies, and up to the respective trucks, which might be also powered even by fuel cells. We believe that also this opportunity exists, and 1 out of 8 trucks by 2030 will and can be powered by fuel cell technology. Next slide. So whatever we are doing is actually following and based on our mission, technology invented for life. And based on this, next slide, please, we provide technological answers to ecological questions, and that we are not only talking about it, but also doing it is actually indicated on the next slide, because we as Bosch are the first industrial player worldwide who will become carbon neutral in 2020. So basically strongly contributing to the 2050 Paris targets, and that's something which we are, as also Bosch employees, very, very proud of. Having said that, I would like to conclude the presentation. If you are interested to invest in Germany, please feel free to contact Alex Hirschle. He is here in the first row, also live in the room. And besides that, our colleague from GTO, German Trade Office, Yelin, who is managing this part of business. Having said this, thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to the panel discussion later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Holman, to be here, and also for the interesting presentation. 我们再次谢谢 Mr. Holman 在现场为我们带来精彩的分享。紧接着下来，我们将邀请到来自匈牙利 Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency 的 Martina Amsi， 她要分享的主题是专注于自动化产业的投资聚焦点。Our next speaker is Mrs. Martina Amsi, Head of Department responsible for Automotive Industry of Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency from Hungary. She will talk about a proven location for your investment focused on automotive. Please welcome Mrs. Amsi. Mrs. Amasi, can you hear us? Maybe could you please turn on your microphone, because we cannot hear you here. Okay, sorry for the technical issues. Then let's welcome the next speaker. 下一位讲者，我们将来邀请到来自斯洛伐克 Slovak Investment and Trade Development Agency 的 Stanislava Paciencia Lubnova。他要分享的主题是斯洛伐克自动化枢纽迈向电动交通的发展。Sorry for the disruption. We would like to welcome our next speaker, Mrs. Stanislava Paciencia Lubnova, Senior Consultant Investment Project Department of the Slovak Investment and Trade Development Agency from Slovakia. She will talk about automotive hub heading to e-mobility in Slovakia. Please welcome Mrs. Lubnova.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, my name is Stanislava Plasencia Lubinova, and I represent Slovak Investment and Foreign Trade Development Agency. In these upcoming 10 minutes, let me present the most interesting and important facts about the Slovak business environment. Slovakia is a small country with 5.4 million inhabitants. Nevertheless, its geographical location is very beneficial for companies already established in the country, since they can reach around 600 million clients in a radius of 2,000 kilometers. This benefit is also caused by high quality and developed road and airport infrastructure, as well as connection to main European transport corridors via highways and railways. I'm confident to say that from Visegrad Group, where Slovakia, Czech Republic, Hungary and Poland belong, we have progressed the most in terms of pro-European approach. We are member of many international organizations, and especially we adopted euro as an official currency as the only one in Visegrad Group and as one of the few countries in Central and Eastern Europe. What brought us a bunch of benefits such as growth of foreign trade or economic and financial stability. And now let's see how we're doing last year and what are the macroeconomic predictions for the upcoming years. The real GDP growth reached 2.3%, inflation 2.8%, and unemployment rate almost 6%. This very dynamic GDP growth is also predicted for the next year by the European Commission as the highest among neighboring or selecting CEE countries, as you can see them at the right side of the slide. One of our biggest assets is without any doubt our human capital, whose skill sets, work experience and education background correspond to the needs of the private sector. What stands behind is quality education. Slovakia belongs to the countries with the highest percentage of people with completed secondary education. It's 92% of the whole population, out of which 50% are enrolled in vocational schools, especially in mechanical and electrical engineering and automotive. Moreover, our secondary school education system comes with a dual education scheme, which combines theoretical education in a vocational school and practical apprenticeship within a company. 26% of the whole Slovak population has university degree, out of which 1/3 graduated in STEM profiles. It's science, technology, engineering, and math. In total, we have 35 universities spread across the country, out of them 5 technical universities and 32 faculties with technical background, where approximately 140,000 students are enrolled and 42,000 graduate each year in technical fields. Slovakia is the most labor productive country in CEE region, as you can see on the graph. There are various key ingredients, for example, high level of automation, as Slovakia has 165 industrial robots per 10,000 employees. Furthermore, we have almost none lost working day because of industrial actions or strikes, and also the highest share of added value employment in CEE region. Despite a high productivity, we are not the most expensive country, as the average salary lies between those of CEE countries. In 2019, the average salary reached 1,092 euros. On top of high labor productivity, we are also a cost-effective country. As shown on the graph, our labor costs are twice lower than average labor costs in the European Union. And in addition to cost effectivity, Slovakia also reaches low salary growth in CEE region comparing the first quarter 2020 with the same time period of the previous year. In this time period, salary growth in manufacturing reached 7.9%. What might be interesting for you is the percentage of the Slovak workforce working at night, what positions Slovakia on the first place in the CEE region. Specifically, every sixth Slovak employee works night shifts and weekends on a regular basis. And if we take into account only automotive industry, it's almost every fourth employee. In terms of key sectors, automotive is of course number one, as in Slovakia we produce more cars per capita than anybody in the world. This sector is then followed by electronics and ICT and business services sectors. We are located in growing CE automotive environment where within 400 kilometer range more than 4 million vehicles are produced per year, out of which 1 million is produced in Slovakia by our 4 OEMs. Significant increase of car plants established in Visegrad Group proves its high potential to meet requirements of investors and also to find quality labor force. We are the world leader in terms of car production per capita. 202 vehicles are being produced per 1,000 inhabitants. Just for the illustration, the world average are 10 vehicles produced per 1,000 inhabitants. In Slovakia, there are 4 car OEMs. It's Volkswagen, PSA Peugeot Citroën, Kia, and Jaguar Land Rover, producing around 1 million vehicles per year, being increased up to 1.3 million cars this year. Jaguar Land Rover is the newest investor among OEMs, which started its production 2 years ago. The whole automotive sector employs directly and indirectly almost 300,000 people, and has a significant share on total industrial production, half of it, 50%. As nowadays there is a strong focus on transformation of the economy towards Industry 4.0 and electromobility, let me mention some interesting facts about e-mobility. Volkswagen Bratislava plant was the first Volkswagen factory to produce the first fully electric powered vehicle of the group. It was Volkswagen e-up. Or also there is Porsche Cayenne hybrid being produced since 2017. What's also interesting is that there are more than 2,000 robots installed in factory in Bratislava. Then, as an example, Kia introduced electrification in their plant by production of Kia Exceed and Sports Wagon, and they are planning to invest into further 11 models before 2025. The most produced model in 2019 was mild hybrid Kia Sportage, reaching 56% of the total yearly production. In addition to established OEMs, in Slovakia there is a dense network of automotive tier 1, 2, 3 suppliers and e-mobility suppliers, mostly located in western part of Slovakia in order to be close to the OEMs and provide them with just-in-time and just-in-sequence production. Nevertheless, there is still a huge potential in eastern Slovakia, where there are more attractive investment incentives, higher unemployment rate, lower salary costs, and other benefits. Among e-mobility suppliers, there are suppliers of electromotors, charging stations, batteries, and so on. I assume it's quite important to mention Inobat. You can see them on the right upper corner of the slide. It's a Slovak R&D and battery production company to be settled in Slovakia in consortium with American Wildcat Discovery Technologies. And their center will include testing and demo lines for batteries and energy storing systems. When it comes to investment aid, there are several kinds of support from the Slovak government. One of them is investment incentive scheme. Let me just very briefly tell you more about this topic. Basically, this scheme is based on EU legislation. Nevertheless, the final decision about the investment aid is made by the Slovak government. There are 3 kinds of eligible projects. It's either industrial production, establishment of R&D center, or business services center. For each of them, there are several minimum conditions to be met in order to be able to apply for investment aid, and there are also various forms of investment incentives. It's either cash grant or contributions on newly created jobs as direct forms, or indirect forms of investment incentives. It's either tax relief or transfer of real estate which is in public ownership. Now let me present in which ways our agency can support you. At the Department of Investment Projects, we aim at attracting of new investments, assisting established companies with expansions projects, and providing tailor-made support to individual local businesses. As we belong under the Ministry of Economy, all our services are free of charge. We provide our assistant basically during the whole decision-making process. We provide consultancy on investment aid, on site selection based on specific requirements of investor. We facilitate meetings with local stakeholders, education institutions, etc. And once the company is established in Slovakia, we provide further assistance and aftercare services. On this slide, there are some examples of success stories from all around the world. I hope one day there will appear also your company name on this map. We have more than 550 successful projects from Taiwan. I would mention the most important ones, such as Esson, Foxconn, Delta Electronics, AU Optronics, as companies which are already settled down in Slovakia. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lubnova. 我们非常谢谢 Mr. Luba 带给我们精彩的分享。再来，我们将再次欢迎来自匈牙利 Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency 的 Martina Amasi。她要分享的主题是专注于自动化产业的投资聚焦点。Let's welcome back again our speaker, Mrs. Martina Amasi, Head of Department responsible for Automotive Industry of Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency from Hungary. She will talk about a proven location for your investment, focus on automotive. Please welcome Mrs. Amasi. Sorry, the connection was still not possible to connect with the speaker. Then let's move on to our next speaker. 我们先邀请来自西班牙 San Auto 的 Cecilia Medina Marin， 她要分享的主题是西班牙的自动化工业和智能移动载具。Let's welcome our next speaker, Mrs. Cecilia Medina Marin, RTD Manager at San Auto Spanish Association of Automotive Suppliers, and N2F Coordinator Spanish Automotive and Mobility Technology Platform from Spain. She will talk about automotive industry and smart mobility in Spain. Please welcome Mrs. Marlin. Mrs. Marlin, could you share with us your webcam and voice? Okay. We will try to solve the technical issue as soon as possible. 接下来，我们将先邀请到台湾企业经营欧洲有成且已经长达27年的研华工业股份有限公司 Industrial IoT 总经理蔡淑妍小姐代表现身说法，分享研华欧洲经营拥有哪些优势以及遇到哪些挑战。接下来，让我们一起欢迎蔡总经理分享研华在欧洲市场深耕的经验。Please welcome Mrs. Linda Tsai, President of IoT Advantech, to talk about Advantech's experience of working in the EU market since 1993. Please welcome Mrs. Tsai.
Thank you. Before I start English, can I speak Chinese? Okay. 大家好，我是蔡淑妍，代表研华科技来跟大家分享，就是研华在欧洲过去20年的投资布局。 Okay, I thought I would be the last one because for Chinese always the last one is the most important one. But it's okay. It's okay. I think the most important one that's wait for our remote guest from European team. For Advantech Investment Euro, I want to share this for two parts. The first part, I still want to briefly introduce Advantech. And secondly, why Advantech invests a lot in Euro in the past 20 years, okay? Advantech is a Taiwanese company. We design our own product, manufacture our own product with our brand name, Advantech. This year is our 37 years anniversary, and we are a B2B company. Last year, we reached around 1.8 billion US dollars. And this year, 2020, our goal is become 2 billion. But because pandemic, so we might have to postpone 1 year to 2021 to reach our goal 2 billion. Generally, people ask that what is Advantech doing? It's very hard to explain because we always say that we are a diversified industrial company. So generally, I would say that we don't manufacture notebook, we don't do cell phone, we don't do desktop. The rest of the product, we do it. So where is our focus area? Is a diversify. We focus on industrial, including factory, equipment, machine builder, including industrial infra, that means energy, environment, transportation, and also we focus on other smart city projects like retail, hospital, and digital logistics. So that's how diversified Advantech is. And it's because of this, our revenue for Advantech, only 7% from Taiwan, which means 93% from outside of Taiwan. That means that we have to go for global market. Europe is very important. The reason is not because we look at the business in Europe. Also, we look at European is one of the innovation hub from different industry, from transportation, telecom, and also from, of course, we know Industry 4.0. This page. Here is Advantech global presence. We have 3 major manufacturing sites in Taiwan, China, and also in Japan. We acquired a production factory in Japan 1 year ago. In addition to 3 production lines, we have 4 major logistics centers. Of course, Taiwan, China, USA, and Europe. And Europe, that's in Eindhoven, Holland. In 27 countries, we all have offices. So when we say office, it's not just a sales office. Wherever there's a sales, we have a technical engineer over there. We have the marketing. And some of the countries, like 14 of them, we have repair center and different scale of integration team. If you look at here, in Europe, we have more than 500 employees in Europe. Later on, we have more detailed footprint about our coverage in Europe. Next focus of Taiwan, I think that's also the focus of all the industry, especially B2B, for IoT, AI, and 5G. Why that's important for Taiwan and also for Advantech? Because we believe this the pandemic change. It is the paradigm shift from the traditional, we call the IT. Of course, ICT is still very important, but we see the booming market is from B2B. Is from where we are, from the smart city factoring and Industry 4.0. And of course, there you will find a lot of data from Google saying that how important, how many billion of devices of IoT, and what the growth rate, and how AI and 5G is the catalyst to grow IoT in the coming 10 years. So strategic direction for Taiwan industry, of course, maybe especially for Advantech, because for Advantech, for those who know us, we produce a lot of product, but with a lot of skill, which means high mix, low volume, and highly customization. When we say highly customization, does not mean everything is tailor-made. Later on, you will see that we have an integration center in Europe, in Warsaw, Poland, and also in Eindhoven, Holland. The reason is that we provide from level 6 to level 10 the integration service to our customer. With the integration service, we can do the assembly with different configuration and do the software testing and make the last mile integration for our end customer to Europe. And secondly is that recently semicon become very important topic around the world, especially Taiwan, because we have very, very respectful enterprise in Taiwan for the semicon, of course, for the IC design. They require lots of complicated process industry. And lastly, because the technology is going so fast. So on this track, we are talking about mobility, about the EV autonomous car. That's about the EV car, about that in the future for the AI. So for most company in Taiwan, the next core engine we are looking at, in addition to traditional ICT, I think diversify industrial IoT in B2B business, that's crucial for everyone. So when people talk about that, what will be the next expansion plan for Advantech in Europe? Of course, to expand, to offer more job opportunity is that to establish a production line. Of course, that we might consider about that. But more important that we are thinking is that how can we work with the most talented people all around the world on the engineering, on the research, to develop the most innovative product. So here you will see that from Advantech, in addition that our headquarters in Taiwan, definitely we have a large engineering team in Taiwan. We also have R&D center in Europe and in USA. So in Europe, we're in Munich, in Czech, is in Brno and Worcester. And that's a company we acquired 4 years ago. So in addition to R&D center worldwide, I said that we only have 3 major manufacturing sites in Taiwan, China, and Japan. On the other hand, those production we done here, we actually ship out to our global logistics center, our regional sales office. And currently, we have that 15 assembly integration center all around the world, and that provide the last mile integration service to the customer. So the second half of my presentation, I will go a little bit deeply about the Advantech Europe and why, if your company is looking at the global business, then you should look at that, how to start to investing in European country. As I mentioned later, that we will talk about not just business, also the innovation we receive over there. So Advantech started from 1993. This is our 37 years here. We have like 430 employees in 10 countries. So if you look at this map, you will clearly show that our coverage in Europe and our service in Europe is comprehensive, including that we have 2 major regional service centers for the logistics, for integration, and for the repair. And for the engineering, we not just only have there for the sales, we also have recruit a lot of engineers. 3 locations, Munich, Germany, and Worcester, Brno in Czech Republic. And also we have technical support center also in Germany. So here are some advice from Advantech, since we have that 20 years experience in Europe. So it's very important that we have to leverage the talent from EU. Not just about that they are multicultural, of course, they are different countries. Whenever we talk about Europe, a lot of Taiwanese will think, okay, it's 1 country, but actually it's 24 countries, much more. So when we talk about Europe, actually they are multi-countries, multi-language, but more important is that we feel that the mobility within EU is quite flexible. So in our office, we have lots of offices in Europe, and it's easily that even though they are in different countries, but actually it's become a very big family for us. The other advice from Advantech is that till now, we have the 4 acquisition projects in Europe. Of course, we are not a big company compared to other much bigger companies in Taiwan. We have 3, I would say, small size to medium size merger acquisition in Europe. The 4 cases is not because that we want to acquire for their sales channel. The 4 cases is because we acquire because the product, the design team is complementary to Advantech. So that's very important. So the other advice from Advantech is that you can consider to go there to establish from greenfield, establish everything from scratch, or you can consider to go there to JV or merge acquisition to speed up your investment in Europe. The next one is for the industry. Advantage is from industry, from industrial field. It's very crucial is that we are close to the customer. When I say close, people might think about, okay, production line, supply chain, close to customer. That's one thing. The other one is your product close to customer. Think about most of our product team are in Taiwan. We are far away from our customer in Europe. So it's very important that for those telecom, green industry, environment, transportation, where a Advantech focus area, as I mentioned, that we have R&D in Europe. That's how we close to customer instead of production line to customer. We also have an engineering team close to the customer and get the latest technology and listen to customer what they want. And sometimes, even though Advantech is a global company, we make product for global, but sometimes the product we make for China and we make for Europe is actually different. So, yeah, the one advice from Europe, from Advantech. Next one. The other one advice from Advantech is that I know it's very difficult for Taiwanese company to go there. The reason is that most of Taiwanese can only speak Chinese and English. We are not so many people who can speak German, French, Spanish, other European language. But don't be afraid of that, because when Advantech invests in the past 20 years, we receive a lot of support from EU, from all the regional office from each country, and of course from our Taiwanese government, the representative over there. So they always been very helpful for everything that, no matter legal issue, recruitment, or the tax, or always provide us the best, the beneficial package, how to help Taiwanese to land your office over there. Here will be my last page. Of course, the whole presentation, I want to share with you why Advantech invests in Europe in the past 20 years. Not just for the business, it's also for close to the market, to really design, manufacture the product for the customer in Europe. But last page I shared that we have lots of European friends here, is that Taiwan is also a very important place for European country to invest in Taiwan. Actually in Taiwan, the biggest foreign investor is from EU, it's not from USA. So thank you. And secondly is that Taiwan have very talented skill set of engineer. Of course, the production quality made in Taiwan is also very good. Even though young people does not like to go to production anymore, so a lot of factory, when they move from China to Taiwan, they also face, they cannot find labor. But don't forget about the Industry 4.0, the automatic process. Of course, that's from Germany, and that's very, very important. So you can always have Taiwan as your test bed. And you always can have Taiwan to recruit and your talent engineer, no matter it's for AI, for 5G, for IoT. Thank you.
我们谢谢蔡总经理带来给我们精彩的分享及给台湾企业的建议。Thank you very much, Mrs. Tsai, for the experience sharing. We have a good news that we have Mrs. Cecilia Medina Marlin back online. So let's try again. Welcome, Mrs. Marlin from Spain. Mrs. Cecilia, can you hear us? Could you switch on your microphone? Now we can see your PowerPoint presentation. So also let's try again with our speaker from Hungary, Mrs. Martina Almasi. She will talk about a proven location for your investment focus on automotive. Please welcome once again, Mrs. Almasi. Mrs. 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 Cecilia Medina Merlin, could you please try to switch on your microphone and give us a few words? Thank you. We are very sorry for the technical issue, and just give us 1 minute and we will have a last try.那我们接下来先进入今天的分论坛讨论。Now, we would like to move on to the panel discussion. 让我们再次邀请这个场次的主持人，工业技术研究院机械与机电系统研究所胡竹生所长上台，欢迎胡所长。Let us welcome back to the stage our moderator, Dr. Zhu Shenghu, Vice President and General Director of Department of Mechanical and Electronics System Research Laboratories from ITRI. 还有我们7位与谈人 Also our 7 panelists, Mrs. Karnikarova, Mr. Koskwe, Mr. Holman, Mrs. Amsi, Mrs. Lubinova, Mrs. Marlene, and Mrs. Linda Tsai. Also, once again, let's welcome Mr. Holman and Mrs. Tsai to the stage. Welcome. Now I would like to hand over the microphone to our moderator, Dr. Hu. The floor is yours. Welcome.
Hello. Okay, great. So we'll skip 2 presentations. Okay, and do all the panelists overseas online right now, or? Oh, we only have a 3-man panel, 3-person panel. Okay. Well, anyway, I just move on. Okay. Okay. First of all, welcome to the panel session of Mobility Automotive Development Strategies. And my name is Jiushen Hu. I'm from Yitree, and it's my honor to serve as the host of this panel. And as we are witnessing a major change in automotive industry because of the trends which already been told: connected, autonomous, or autonomy, sharing, and electrification, what we call electric vehicle. Okay. I think you have all listened to the presentations previously, and which cover mostly the technology outlook and investment opportunities and government support, etc. But I think this forum, the main theme of this forum is focused on investment of the future, especially in Europe. So I would like to start our discussion. Okay, that was not my sound. Okay. I would like to start the directing the discussion toward collaboration, because I think we are more interested in the business in the future. Now, for future business, I think at the present stage, collaboration is the key. It's not discussing how we conduct or collaborate in business model, but how do we collaborate together to expand the scope of technology and the market for EV and autonomous vehicle. So to begin with, I would like to ask each panelist, I don't know if all the overseas panelists are online right now, but we certainly can start from the Bosch and Advantech first. Just have few words, just say hello again to our audience to refresh their memory, tell them what you are doing or your companies are doing. Then you can tell specifically, if there's an example that's better, that how Bosch or collaborate with Taiwan company in terms of developing new products, or you ask company to begin to participate in your ecosystem to develop the product for your customer, etc. So can you begin by introducing yourself and talk more about a little bit about the collaboration? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, then. Once again, very warm welcome also from my side. My name is Jan Hollmann, Managing Director of Bosch Taiwan, and since 2 years actually located here. I've been spending more than 17 years in the automotive business before I took over this overall responsibility here with Bosch Taiwan. Well, with regards to automotive or mobility trends, I think there is no doubt, and it has been mentioned several times today, that the automotive or mobility sector is undergoing its biggest transformation ever. You have mentioned the global mega trends, electrification, connectivity, autonomous driving. We also believe in personalized and shared automobility, or mobility. And that's something what we also strongly believe in at Bosch in whatever we do. And I've mentioned it before when I introduced our company. We are also a very innovative company. We spend more or less 8% of our sales every year in innovation, and for sure the biggest portion of that quite high number, let's say between 7 and 8 billion euros in absolute terms, is being occupied by the automotive sector or by the mobility sector, and this is how we basically drive innovations. Also, the majority of patents we apply for on an annual basis actually can be assigned to the automotive sector, 3,000 in absolute terms. So that kind of underlines what we are doing there and how innovative we finally are. So when it comes to these, let's say, 4 or 5 mega trends, I think electrification is for sure the most, let's say, tangible one. It's probably also the most urgent ones if we see it against the background of the global climate action need, so to say, and also in order to achieve the global targets like 2050 to become carbon neutral. So that's something for sure which is kind of omnipresent, and it requires a lot of efforts from the public sector but also from the private sector to cooperate very closely across industry, across domains, across countries, basically to facilitate these global changes. And so from my point of view, it's probably not so much important where finally the innovation comes from, but more considering the industry or the market as a whole, looking at the ecosystem and basically analyzing what kind of bit or puzzle piece you can contribute basically to these respective initiatives and activities. And that's how I would basically see and also recommend it to do, and maybe that kind of triggers also later on further discussion, especially when it comes to collaboration again between industry players and public institutions.
Oh, thank you. Now we have I think we have all the other participants, the panelists online, right? Okay, great. So I will save the most important one, Linda, to the final one. So to the last period. So let me repeat the question or the question I asked before. That first of all, I would like to each one of you to say hello again to our audience here first. Then you can talk a little bit more or elaborate more about the collaboration in the future technology of electrification, connected vehicle, particularly autonomous vehicle, and how can your country collaborate with Taiwan? So let's start from Konikaronova. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Please, go ahead.
Do you? Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. I hope you hear me well. I'm working in Czech Invest, which is an investment promotion agency. And as you've probably already heard what we do, I don't think I need to go in detail with that. Regarding collaboration and the mega trends that we've been all speaking about, I think the experience is for most of our countries the same. But I've mentioned also in my presentation that we as a state agency are preparing kind of a mobility innovation hub that should focus on these mega trends and kind of develop the cooperation not only in the Czech Republic and with the big companies together with smaller companies and startups, but also with companies from abroad to bring their ideas or their technology and help Czech Republic develop new ideas as well. And Czech Republic helping the other states also develop some other technologies. And for the collaboration with Taiwanese companies, I think I can mention the Foxconn company being in Czech Republic since I think 1995, starting with just production. Now they having here established a data center offering other companies their spaces or their capacities. a logistic company that actually helps them around Europe with supply chain management and many more. And they are actually, I think, called the best employer in the region where they are in Czech Republic. So that's kind of how the collaboration with not only Taiwanese, but basically Asian companies works. So I think that would be for the start from me now. All. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So let's turn to Almasi from Hungary. Hello. Can you hear me?
Can
yes.
you hear me now?
Sure, sure. We can hear you now.
Okay, thank you.
Please go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce myself and my organization because unfortunately I did not have the chance to show my presentation, but hopefully the organizers can share with you at a later stage and also my contact details. So I'm representing Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency as my colleagues from the Czech Republic and Slovakia. We are a state-owned company, and our main aim is to support companies who would like to settle down in Hungary or would like to enhance their businesses here in Hungary. I am responsible for the automotive projects within our organization, and unfortunately I could not show in my presentation, but we have a wide ecosystem on the automotive industry and also on e-mobility as well. We have 5 OEMs in the production side, and each of these OEMs has launched or will launch E-type of engines or hybrid car production. Also, we have 3 OEMs with services footprint here in Hungary. With, for example, JLR has an engineering center. And also belonging to these OEMs, we have a wide ecosystem on automotive companies, over 700 companies belonging to this sector. And also a lot of these companies started or belong to e-mobility. And also the Hungarian government launched a new initiative and developed a so-called test track for autonomous cars in the city of Zalaegerszeg. It's called Zala Zone, which is feasible for testing not only regular cars or EV cars, but also autonomous cars. We also have a lot of companies belonging to the IT or to the software industry. For example, some startups and spin-off companies already started their operation in this industry as well. And coming back to your question, how we would like to support companies coming from other countries and especially from Far East. We have a lot of experience working together with Korean companies, Japanese companies, and also we have some good references from Taiwan. For example, Giant bicycle manufacturing company started its production just this year, and we have a good collaboration with them. So not only in the automotive industry, but in other cross industries, we have a lot of experience, for example, in the bus or bike industry, as I mentioned. And our organization's main aim is to make a link between the companies and the government, and also we try to help them to find new locations and start their businesses here within Hungary. And we can also provide financial support for the newcomers. And this is absolutely in line with the EU regulation. So this is, in a nutshell, what I wanted to show to you in pictures as well. But I hope we will have the chance to discuss these topics privately, who will be interested about in Hungary. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's turn to the gentleman, Mr. Cosquay. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hello.
can you hear
Can you
me?
hear me?
Yeah, please say hello to our audience and
Yes.
share some of your opinion about the collaboration. Thank you.
Yes. Hello and good afternoon also from my side. So my name is Mikko Koskue. And first, I would like to apologize my presentation as there were lots of technical problems. Slides and my speech was not synchronized, so the slides were running way too fast. So sorry for that. I don't know what happened with the video from Finland to Taiwan, but we will download the right version. So to your question, we heard today many times that automotive industry is going more and more, or will be more and more ICT driven, and there is a biggest disruption happening right now. So Jan from Bosch actually stated very well that for the first time there is a kind of a big cross-industrial cooperation needed. And the challenge is also that automotive industry is not really used to have a kind of cross-industrial cooperations. One thing which was not mentioned many times is the role of government. Above all, in the mobility services, we see that the government or legislation has a kind of a role as enabler of different technologies. Just as an example, in Finland, we had 2 years ago so-called transport code, which was the deregulation of the existing taxi and other mobility services regulations. That was made to enable new different kind of digital services to come up. And the role of legislation and government is also quite important when it comes to automated driving. Again, one example, in Finland, it is allowed to drive already the level 4 autonomous driving, where Finland is one of the very few countries in the world to be able to do that. So that was just a short comment to the role of government, where we see a big role as an enabler when it comes to mobility services. And of course, to the cooperation with Taiwanese and Finnish companies or Asian generally, as stated, and as Jan already said, cross-industrial, cross-country cooperation is needed when it comes to these kind of new mobility services and automated driving and all the different trends what are driving the automotive disruption. So we truly see a big opportunity to more cooperation between also Finnish and Taiwanese companies. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Koskwe. I agree with you that the development of automotive industry come to a point that it needs a lot of different disciplines to work together, particularly from ICT industry. So the next one I would like to ask Lubinova. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Okay, hi. Please say hello to the audience and share your opinion about collaboration. Thank you.
Yeah, hello, good morning, or for most of you, good afternoon. My name is Stanislava Lubitova, and I work for SARIO, which is for investment and foreign development. I've been working here for 3 years as a senior consultant at the Department of Investment Projects. And well, regarding the ecosystem of the industry in our country, I would say there are many players on top of 4 OEMs we have and 350 plus automotive players. So there are many R&D companies aimed at process innovations. There are Industry 4.0 providers, and of course universities, which are mutually connected and they are cooperating in many ways. Let me mention some examples. For example, there is company Tate, which develops and produces HMVs, automatic guided vehicles, especially for our Volkswagen plant in Slovakia. Then there is also cooperation between Volkswagen and Matador, which started as a rubber producer, and now they are specialized in industrial automation. So we can assume that thanks to all these companies, our car producers or component producers are more effective and more competitive. Just for the illustration, the production plant of Volkswagen here is highly optimized. There are more than 2,000 industrial robots installed in the plant. And what I find really important is also between industrial production and academic research. For example, at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering at the University, Slovak Technical University, there was collaboration with company Siemens and Mobility and Innovation, and they together developed automotive vehicle. And they are planning to establish also R&D facility related to smart mobility. So I would say that the ecosystem works very well and makes the companies more competitive and more effective. And as well, regarding the cross-industry cooperation, I would say there are companies which are focused on product R&D or on process innovations. Let me mention, for example, company Volkswagen, the R&D company are focused on IoT. They're famous for their product Automotive, which is related to smart parking solutions. And there are other R&D companies, ADN, which is the biggest R&D center in Slovakia. They develop innovative seating systems, the Bank, etc. And here I would like to mention also IT companies, which are mostly focused on technology innovations. And related to this, we deal with also innovation services in our agency. It means that we are trying to match technology companies with large manufacturers. They're willing to innovate their technological and production processes by implementation of automation or digital factories or predictive maintenance. And well, we organize tailor-made events where these Slovak IT companies have a chance to present themselves, and then it results in some projects between manufacturers and IT companies. So if there is in the audience somebody who is interested in this, we can also provide this service free of charge also to companies which are not established in Slovakia yet. Just for the illustration, in the last 3 years, we organized 20 innovation tailor-made events, which resulted in pilot projects. So also for new investors, this is the proof that there are many local technology companies which might enter into their supply chain with their technology solutions.
Okay, thank you. Is Ms. Marine online?
Yes, hello.
Hello, hi. Sorry we missed your presentation, but I think please say hello to the audience and say a few words about collaboration and what in your experience, how can your country collaborate with Taiwanese company?
Hello, everybody. I hope you hear me well, but because I am here double voice.
Oh, we can hear you very well.
Okay, perfect. I'm Cecilia Medina, and I'm very sorry for all the inconvenience with my presentation. I hope you can receive the presentation after the event. I am the RTD manager at the Absernauto, that is the Spanish Association of Automotive Suppliers. And as all the associations, we try to foster this industry because it's a very strategic sector in Spain, as we are the second largest producer in Europe and the 9th in the world. Another important reason for for the figure that we have is the strong supplier industry that because we have more than 1,000 companies of all sizes, geographically distributed and operating in more than 170 countries. So all the companies working on these, all these challenges that we are having right now, as our colleague from BOSS told in his presentation, are more than welcome to come to Spain to collaborate in this solution that we are working on to respond to that. And of course, as I said in my presentation, I hope you can have it, the collaboration is very robust and competitive. So we have a very strong relationship also with the government, because one of the important instruments that we are requesting from the industrial side to the government is a private-public collaboration, as it's working very well at the European level. And now we have also like automotive table, that is how we call it, where all the automobile chains, value chain is working together with the government and the different regional government that have a strong impact in the automotive sector to try to foster this industry.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Finally, I think Linda has some presentation to share, right? About the. Can you show? Okay.
I only have 3 slides, not too much, because this is about the EV, about transportation. Just giving an overview, like, okay, my name is Linda from the Vintech, right? So I didn't introduce myself again. Transportation is always one of the focus market we are in. That's industrial infra. So just to give you an overview of transportation, what we mean here, of course, you see a lot of product. We focus on airport infrastructure, not airline, not airplanes, airport infrastructure, railway related, no matter it's railway or metro, anything on the rolling stock, of course, on road. And next page, I want to share with you that about the topic we have about EV. Of course, we are not a manufacturer for vehicle or those kind of the charging station, but we do provide a lot of system to work with our system integrator in Europe. And the case we have is in Italy. So the product here, we provide data acquisition product, and together with the software, and help our customer, that means system integrator. System integrator, we are not able to do from Taiwan, must be the system integrator locally in the country. And they provide the integration, of course, also the software and service. And this is IoT smart recharging station. So it showed that the collaboration of 2 companies, of course, in 2 different locations. If Advantech did not have the footprint in Europe, we are not able to do this project because it's not able to communicate remotely from the colleague from Taiwan and our system integrator in Italy. And we do have an Italian office. It's one of the early offices we established in Europe, probably like 20 years ago. So all the communication is done locally without any time zone, without any language issue. And the second case is also about the about EV. So far we don't have the case for autonomic drive because that's too far away already. But we do have lots of the project we've done with European our customer for EV car, and mostly is on the charging because we are not involved in any vehicle manufacturer. But very important ecosystem for the EV car, except the car itself, is all the charging station, because with that infrastructure ready, convenient, really like very easy for customer to use, I don't think EV car will be successful. So the other case we have is that we provide different kind of product solution, and together with our software that we invest in the past 4 to 5 years, is that Everything need to be remote monitored, remote control, and how to do that. So on top of our hardware, we provide the software to support our system integrator again, the system integrator located in another country in Europe, and to facilitate the project. So all the project we have done in Europe for the EV, of course, for other project, is with our local team to our local system integrator. So that's very important, is that we have the footprint, very big coverage in European countries. Thank you. That's my sharing.
Thank you. So, you know, for this forum, I prepare a lot of questions, but it appears that we don't have enough time to do that. But so I will go directly to, I think the most important one, is that because the mobility is related to our everyday life, okay? So everybody is concerned about the change in the future. So in other words, government has to play a very important role in shaping the future of this industry because it's related to every citizen of each country. However, the private industry technology is moving fast. For example, I think a lot of companies, they want their autonomous driving vehicle on the road, but it has to be under regulation. So if the regulation is restricted, then maybe the technology will move slowly, for example. And of course, because the automobile is moving on the road, so it will induce some safety problem or an insurance problem. So let me say it again, the government is playing a very important role. So, but the private industry have their own expectations. So I think the next question will be asking, because we have panelists from the government, from the private industry, maybe you guys can discuss what is your expectation or your suggestion the government should do, or the government should ask our private industry to do something in order to help the government to move quickly to adapt to the change. So I think first I would like to ask Mr. Holman to comment on this aspect.
Okay. Yes, we'll try. About the role of the government, from my point of view, it's a crucial role. I think the colleague from Finland also mentioned it's a key enabler. That's something I totally would underline and agree to. I think we can also bridge this discussion here to Taiwan when it comes, for example, to electrification and the role of basically the Taiwanese government. I think currently we kind of feel a lack of momentum, a lack of support when it comes to really scaling of electrification. That has several reasons, but if we want to make basically electrification a reality, it needs to be hand in hand, so to say, between the industrial players and the government. Means there must be a certain commitment to targets, to incentives in order to scale the electrified car park, incentives to scale the electrified infrastructure, very crucial, to work on, let's say, the legal regulations to enable infrastructure. So, for example, yes, for new buildings, as one example, it is clearly decided that it has to provide, or that electrified infrastructure needs to be provided and considered. However, how is it with existing buildings? This is a key question. Basically, if we don't solve this, this will remain an issue. And coming back to the role of government, here you go. So as long as we don't have a clear regulation how to solve this issue, it will never really materialize. And so it is with infrastructure, so it is with scaling of the car park. I think what was good, also from the Taiwanese government, to say, okay, 2035, 2040, there are clear targets with regards to the car park of bus fleets, of the four-wheel segment, and that's already a good start. However, now it's basically up to align, for example, the ministries. There are 3 main ministries here in Taiwan, basically being assigned to achieve and to realize these targets. MOTC, MOEA, EPA, only to mention a few. And it is absolutely crucial to speak with one voice and have clear responsibilities and stakeholders, contact venues for the industries in order to drive these activities and initiatives. And therefore, I can only agree to what has been mentioned before. Government plays a key role in the key enabler for all these global megatrends, what we see in mobility, because all requires huge investments. And the investments in these megatrends from the industry will only come if basically the framework conditions are clear.
Thank you. Mr. Holman. Well, since you mentioned about the government support of this EV trend, I think there is a lot of complicated issues, right? I mean, for example, the charging standards and how can, because every local government or local city, they want to establish the charging point, the charging stations. So that will involve the investment of public money. So in other words, when it comes to public money, there will be a lot of stakeholders and the people express different opinions. You have been in Taiwan for many years. You know how in Taiwan, everybody can speak out, okay? So it will be not easy in Taiwan, but I think it is also not easy in every country, right? Because it will involve everybody's everyday life. So can Mr. Cosque, hello, can you comment on this issue? I mean, in your country, how can government collaborate with the private industry?
Yes, as stated already earlier, I see also, like Mr. Holman said, the government has a crucial role as an enabler. But when it comes to mobility services, for example, as we did in Finland, this deregulation of this kind of services, it's also a question about speed. How fast are governments able and how flexible they are? I think in big picture, the companies, the private companies are of course faster to move. We in Finland, the government, what we did, we have an advantage is that we are less than 6 million people and we have a very centralized legislation. But when you go, just an example, to Germany, where you have more than 80 million people and you have 16 federal states, and every federal state has an own government. So it takes time to get different kind of legislation or new things through. So I think this is quite a crucial question, is how fast are the governments able and how flexible they are to move.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So that will also influence a lot on the how the Taiwan company will invest in this area. So I would like to ask Ms. Konikarova to say something about this industry and the government relations in pushing out this technology. Ms.
I basically agree with what Mr. Holman said. There's need to cooperate because the government is the enabler. On the other hand, the private sector is the kind of a pusher to make something happen. What has been mentioned there, that there's a need for investment from the governmental side, which is very important, but also it needs to be a smart investment, meaning that the investment must be into something that the industry actually needs. So I think the most important thing is the discussion between private sector and public sector to find the priorities that are actually both beneficial for both sides, which is what we are trying in the Czech Republic by cooperating with the Automotive Industry Association that covers almost the whole automotive sector in the Czech Republic. They signed a memorandum with the government so that kind of they have set up the priorities for the next few years. And they're also pushing, the industrial association is pushing the government to do what they promised to do. So that's kind of how we're trying this way. But of what has been mentioned also, it's never easy, and there are a lot of challenges on how to make it, what's the priority, how to do it smart, but we're trying, and the closer the cooperation is with the public sector and private sector and universities and the research, then maybe in the future it could make the changes also faster because the need for it is there.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Almasi, you mentioned about the investment of Giant, right, in Hungary? Is that correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so can you, I mean, sorry, so, okay. So when the Giant or Taiwan company invest in Hungary, would it touch any public issues in terms of mobility? And how can the government help foreign companies to get into this area, for example, in Hungary?
Okay, so our organization, HIPAA, helped the whole to go through the whole process with the Giant. So we started our cooperation at the location selection phase. We supported them to find the ideal location for their investment. And also we help them to find their partners, the stakeholders, to reach their goal. And I mean, in this case, we contacted them with the local municipality, with the landowners and HR partners, with the local vocational educational institutions and university institutions. And through this, they could set up their business plan. And to this business plan, the Hungarian government could provide financial support, state aid, in order to speed up their construction process and to buy their machinery. And within 2 years, their operation could be started this summer, and it was a very lucky situation due to the COVID. Now they started to produce their bicycles, and they also could hire their employees. But the ramp up is going on. And the collaboration with the local parties, the municipality, the educational institution is going forward. And also we contacted them with the bicycle association. So new initiations and new programs will launch, publicizing their investment, their products as well. And how our organization could also support them is not only with the location selection and the financial support, but we were behind the whole process, behind the whole implementation process. For example, here in Hungary, there's a so-called VIP status, which an investment can receive. And with that, all the licensing and permitting procedure can be speed up. And after the implementation, it's true for all our partner organizations. We will keep in contact with the companies. And if any problem would arise with the government or any authority, then we will be here to support and solve these problems. So this is just an example how we could support this specific Taiwanese company, but we have good references with other companies. And coming back to the automotive industry, for example, BMW selected Hungary in 2018 for their next production site, and the construction process already started. And we are really proud of that. Out of 160 candidate locations, final decision came to Hungary. And we supported the whole location selection process and also now the implementation. So this is in a nutshell how we usually support the companies.
Thank you. I think maybe I will ask a question again about how government support. For example, would the government allow different type of charging stations altogether in one country, or just they have to have some regulations of the charging standards, etc.? So maybe Ms. Lubinova, can you give me an example, or do you have any idea of how your government, does the government regulate the charging standards, or the government just let the private industry grow their own charging points, for example?
Yes, but I would start with the information that we have new government since March 2020, and this government is strongly aimed at transformation of the automotive sector towards electromobility. So this is very crucial for us and also for private companies. It's also stated in their so-called government program statement, where smart mobility is one of their priorities. And also there was introduced the action plan for the e-mobility development, which includes 16 measures in order to implement the electromobility in the country faster and easier. And especially there is one measure related to charging stations. There is a special dedicated budget for self-governing regions to create charging stations, make this network of charging stations more dense. But there are also another measures such as support of purchasing of electric vehicles or other measures which are related to preferential rates for contractual insurance or fees for registration of such vehicles and so on. And on top of that, our current government is also strongly focused on hydrogen technology. In Košice, which is the largest city, there is going to be established R&D center for hydrogen technologies. And the founders are Slovak Academy of Science and the University of Košice. So this is another hope we are focused on.
Thank you. So how about Ms. Marine? Can you comment on the government-private industry relations in speeding up the technology deployment for the future?
Yes. We are at a historic moment, and the improvement in motor efficiency, lighting, safety, and comfort of the last 7 years have not required the investment effort that we have right now with these two objectives in parallel, that is the electrification and automation. So the role of the government, of the administration side, is essential to push this industry and to make this technology that is very expensive and complex. So we have we are preparing right now a special strategy, a national strategy, together with all the ecosystem that is working on the Spanish Automotive and Mobility Technology platform, that try to guarantee not only the post-COVID survival of the strategic sector for Spain, that is the automotive sector, but rather its vision of the future and the positioning and competitiveness now. For us, it's very important some strategic priorities that we have identified and that determine the collaborative largest scale project of common interest to be developed in collaborative projects of different TRL levels in cooperation with other nuclear sector for us, that is ICT, energy, electronic infrastructure. And you have all the information in my presentation. I hope you have it, because are related to battery technology evolution, clean hydrogen for electric mobility, and also testing special testing for the connecting and automating mobility technology that we are working on, and also the data engineering and the artificial intelligence associated with the intelligent manufacturing. That is very important for us, also the way that we manufacture things. And regarding the model to do that in Spain, as I told you before, we have now this automotive table that is led by the Minister of Industry, and with the participation of the entire value chain of the automobile sector, with the representative of the sectorial associations, and Auto, for example, is one of them, trade union, and also the regional government, to establish a roadmap to define this project that I told you before. So currently, the automotive table is the ideal place to present this strategy.
Okay, thank you. Lastly, I would like to ask Linda, because I think Advantech has developed to be a large company, and I think in the future, I can see in the future, not only selling components, but also trying to be a service provider, right? In terms of the future IIoT business, especially in automotive. So do you have any experience, or can you foresee that if a Taiwan company is going to provide service to Europe, of course it will touch some government issue, regulation issues. So you have any comments, or you have any observations on these issues?
Currently, of course, Advantech does not provide any like service. We still sell product, and definitely that would be goal. In some of the area, we are able to provide the services, different business model. Outside of Taiwan, depends on service we are looking at. I think most of the service, unless really government related or that infrastructure related. Otherwise, I think most country, the government will welcome if a foreign company to there. So that the one we are looking for, like the service model we have, like maybe that for the industry, for the monitoring and in the factory equipment management, and those still on the private sector. And for the government support, of course, that we heavily may rely on our regional office, and together with our legal advisor over there, with the branches office, that to see is any regulation we need to comply, and regarding service we need to provide. And definitely, I think for the autonomous car, for the mass, I think that will be very difficult for the Advantech to provide such services. But we are more looking at the private sector. Yes.
But we certainly collaborate with companies in Europe to expand the business scope for both parties. Okay, I think I was told that we should have a photo. So it's close to the end of the session. Yes. Is that right?
Yes,
okay.
That's right. It's time for a group
Yeah,
photo.
time short. I'm sorry for those for people joining us from Europe. Because of the bad connection, some of you may not have the presentation, but your presentation material is still on the web page, so people can look at your presentations. And I think this concludes our session. I know that we have a beer party afterwards, right?
Yes, that's
true. Yeah, so I'm eager to taste the Belgian beer. So thank you for all coming, and wish to see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Hu? Mr. Homa, Mrs. Tsai, maybe stand for a group photo here? Yes, yeah. Thank you. Oh. We will take 2 pictures, one 3 of you, and then the other one with other speakers from Europe. Okay, then we take the next one with the speakers from Europe. Yeah. Okay. Now let's have a big group photo all together. So thank you very much. This concludes our EU Investment Forum 2020 Mobility and Automotive session. Thank you very much. And please don't forget your belongings. In addition, there are booths set up by the EU member states outside, so please feel free to stop by. Also, come and join our Belgium happy hour with all you can drink Belgian beer at meeting room 203. Have a great evening and cheers. Thank you very much.